what you're thinking, and we tend to agree, the world probably doesn't need another crossover. But premium European automakers keep building them because people keep buying them. Before we even got behind the wheel of the 2017 F-Pace, we knew that it would be Jaguar's best-selling model by year's end. Now that we've driven the brand's first crossover, it's apparent that there is more to the F-Pace than future sales success. This is a real Jaguar. It would have been easy for Jaguar to borrow a platform from corporate sibling Land Rover. Instead, Jaguar's engineers decided to chart their own course, starting with the aluminum underpinnings of the XE sedan. As it turns out, that was a brilliant decision. The F-Pace looks and drives like a proper Jaguar, but it has some surprises hiding under its shapely sheet metal that make it the most practical vehicle the brand has ever offered. The F-Pace sports a familiar face, with a voluminous chrome-ringed grille flanked by twin air intakes that are almost as large. Long horizontal headlamps flow into the fenders, and just behind the front wheel sit additional vents that are the only extraneous bit of styling flair on the entire vehicle. The overall look is smooth and taut, with lots of surface tension along the car's body sides. Not that Jaguar would have done it, but we're glad this is not an overwrought Lexus RX clone. The F-Pace's proportions emphasize the chassis rear drive roots, although Jaguar will only sell the crossover with all-wheel drive in the US. By default, 90% of engine torque is routed to the rear wheels, and that can drop to as little as 10% as dictated by available traction. While the good old KISS acronym applies to the car's styling, it applies equally well to the driving dynamics with one slight modification: keep it sporty, stupid. A rigid aluminum chassis, it would be all aluminum if the rear floor weren't steel to ensure proper 50/50ths weight distribution is derived from the same architecture as the XE sedan, rejiggered to sit higher off the ground and allow for greater suspension travel. As you'd expect, the F-Pace drives a heck of a lot like a sport sedan, only giving up the illusion if you notice how high you're sitting from the road. Jaguar has nailed the driving dynamics of the F-Pace. Steering is linear and, in dynamic mode, perfectly damped. The ride-on models equipped with adaptive suspension is firm and controlled, even with massive 22-inch wheels fitted. 18 and 20-inch wheels come standard on the lower grades, and only the first 275 first edition models will come with the Pirelli P0 tires our test cars wore. Still, all-season rubber isn't likely to stamp out the F-Pace's delightfully frisky behavior. We kicked off our F-Pace experience in the top-rung, 380 HPS in cesium blue first edition trim. The limited edition treatment has a houndstooth pattern embossed in the leather and printed in the door panel trim, plus just about every option available for the crossover. Dynamically, it's identical to other S models, and it's definitely not lacking for power. The run to 60 miles per hour clocks in at just 5.1 seconds, and the engine is still pulling hard well into triple-digit speeds. Like most Jaguars, the F-Pace S sounds downright wicked with the throttle pinned. There's very little supercharger whine inside the cabin, and none of the popping and sputtering antics of an F-Type with this engine. Instead, the exhaust note is smooth and refined, though always audible. Although the four-cylinder diesel only offers up 180 horsepower, it counters with 318 pound-feet of torque from 1,750 through 2,500 RPM. That's not much less than the 332 lb-ft of the supercharged V6. A mash on the accelerator pedal doesn't bring an instant rush of power from the small diesel, but once underway the single variable geometry turbocharger spools up nicely and delivers a satisfying mid-range shove. 0 to 60 sprints happen in a reasonable 8.2 seconds. Don't expect to hear any soul-stirring music from the oil burner, and do expect to feel some low-resonance vibration through the floor and interior touchpoints at around town speeds. A 340 HP version of the supercharged 3.0-liter, dubbed 35 tons, is expected to be the volume engine in the States. We weren't able to sample it during this drive, but on paper it's only a couple of ticks slower to 60 than the 380 horse version. The engine is also offered in this tune in other newer Jaguars where we've found it just about as satisfying as the S version.